And welcome back, everyone. Welcome back to another week, another edition of the Sparkling Tuna Cup. Sparkling Tuna Cup number 37. I'm, of course, host ZvP, and with me, I'm joined by the lovely people in the chat and by the lovely players as well. !B if you're interested to have a look at the back of yourselves, because we have quite a lineup this week. A lot of players from all around the world, and that is what is amazing about this tournament, about the Sparkling Tuna Cup. We do host many events here on the Cranky Ducklings, but this is the only event that is open to all leagues, to all regions, to all countries, to all walks of life. So we have players from Europe, we have players from North America, Latin America, and Southeast Asia. And there we go. We have our bracket here before you. We have Nice, Eva, Rostok, Gogo, Joey, Dimaga, Demi, Nazin, Miomaika. Plenty of amazing players. And even towards the bottom, Honmono, Middle VK, and Gref as well. And for the time being, we do plan on diving on in. We do plan on following our one, our only, our Eba. Let's go, Bobby. Let's go. Let us go. As so just gonna be messaging the players, making sure that we are good to go. But yeah, we're gonna be casting Eba versus Rostok. I apologize for the delayed start, but there was we were just looking for some players. We were looking for some of our lovely players, but we have everyone. We have Eba, we have Rostok, we have everyone we need to continue on. Oh boy, there are some other really good matches as well. You know, Demi versus Nazin is another spicy ZV team. We haven't been casting enough ZVTs recently, but regardless, we do have our lineups ahead of us. When it comes to our regulars, we are missing some of our other CIS players, or other European players like Nicaract, players like Wayne as well, but we still have plenty of quality here available in the Sparkling Tuna Cup, and we're just waiting for the players to conduct their vetoes and to get things going. As we will be getting into our first series. And again, thank you so much everyone for tuning in. If you want to support this tournament as well, you can do so via Matcherino, via Patreon as well. There are links out there. All of the money that we raise here on our Twitch channel, on the Cranky Ducklings, does go towards tournaments like this, tournaments like the Sparkling Tuna Cup, the Tenacious Turtle Tussle, and Grand Platypus Open as well. You can see just under the bracket down there that we do have our Patreon goal, you know, 300 USD. That's how much we spend on our tournaments on a monthly basis, and we're almost there. We're just over halfway there when it comes to how much funding we get via Patreon. And of course, once we get that funding, our goal is to go a little bit higher, is to break in and grow our tournaments, you know, pay out top 4, turn our bi-weeklies into weekly tournaments, that good stuff. That's our mission statements. That's our goal here on the Cranky Ducklings. But for now, we have our first series. For now, we are getting into game number 1. Another reminder is that this is our very first Sparkling Tuna Cup where, as I believe, there's some issues. This is our first Sparkling Tuna Cup that is going to be on the new patch. The new patch and the new maps as well. Oh boy, here we go. As we're going to be loading on in. And again, last night we were live with the Grand Platypus Open, and that was our first time casting the new maps and the new patch then. But now, of course, we're going to be featuring them here on the Sparkling Tuna Cup as well. If you're interested in some more broadcasts, after this, we're going to be casting WTL in a couple of hours, in 4 hours time. 4 hours time, we're going to be live with World Team League, also here on the Cranky Ducklings. So we have plenty of content tonight. A night full of StarCraft. And here we go, spawning in the top left-hand corner of Golden Aura, we have the English Zerg player, at times Polish. There's a reason for that, but we have, representing the Platinum Heroes, it is the Red Zerg, it is Eva. And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner, we have as opponent, we have the Ukrainian Protoss player, currently teamless, it is Rostok. You guys, I see Eba in the chat as well. Shout out to Oi, Lorimbo, Papi. Lorimbo, when are you playing in our tournament? When are you playing in Sparkling Tuna Cup? Lorimbo, shaking my head, Papi, shaking my head. Regardless, great to see you in the chat. See Tapia, Ice down in the chat as well. Easy Phil, welcome, welcome. Always good to see you all. As for the time being, we do have a 15 hatch opener. It's going to be a 15 into a 15 spawning pool. There we go. So again, a very standard, I say very standard opener. Essentially, this is designed to counteract the pro block from Rostok, from our Protoss. So Eva just going to be opening up in a very standard fashion here. Very economic. I mean, I say economic. Basically, you sacrifice a little bit of your economy here in favor of getting a more secure base layout to make sure you aren't forced to take any kind of awkward bases. And we are now on Golden Aura, and I feel like we should probably talk about this map a little bit. This is a very defensible map. You have a very narrow entryway into your natural base, a very narrow entryway into your third as well. So yeah, you can be a little bit greedier on maps like this, whether you're Protoss, Terran, or even Zerg in some matchups. You can wall off and you can have a really solid defense. In general, these bases are also really close together. They're really tight packed knit. So again, kind of maneuvering and rotating between the third and the natural is pretty easy as well. And that is applicable to some of the other matchups. So bear that in mind when it comes to ZvT and ZvZ as well. Until then, we do have likewise Rostok going for a gate expand. Nothing too crazy. Not yet anyway, and yeah, my eyes are really on Rostok. I know him more as an aggressive player, actually. Not as aggressive as Gref. I know Gref is all about proxies and cannon rushes more than anything, but Rostok likewise is, in my mind at least, known to be more of an aggressive player, so I wonder if that's going to be the case here, as we do have a Stargate opener from our blue Protoss. Again, nothing too out of the norm yet. You have a couple of links here from Eba as well, lying in wait, ready to just run in and get a full scout. First Adept has already left, and we could potentially run in just to get confirmation of the tech. But now, though, Eba is lying in wait, and the first Adept does make its way out. Eba opting to take the triangular third base, not going for the linear third. And the Adept is going to be threatening a shade in as well. Oh, actually, we do commit even. And we're going to try and get a couple of workers here so far. Good reaction out of Eba, keeping his drones alive. At the same time, his own lings do slip into the main base. Does kill a probe, does get a full scout, and confirms even the Oracle that's coming out. So getting a good scout from Eba. Oh, we commit to the shade once again. This Adept is going to get surrounded here. Is going to be dealt with by these lings. There shouldn't really be an escape here. A lot of DPS is done. The Queens do come in to intercept it. And yeah, the Adept does go down. There was a nice juke from Rostok to avoid the surround, but alas, it still went down to the Queens. And so far, that's 2 Adepts for only lings. Not the best trades here from Rostok. It's going to be going for that Oracle across the map, expanding, taking his third base as well. This third is looking very vulnerable. There are no Adepts back at home, no Oracles either. But we see that Eba is... Oh, actually, he... I just realized. My apologies. I was talking about the 15 hatch opener, but he had a very delayed gas, so without link speed, he actually can't quite punish his third base. Even though Rostok did lose both Adepts, his third is actually safe and sound because link speed is still not done. As Eba went gasless and delayed gas for quite some time. Even with 15 hatch openers, even with 15 15s, you still do get gases a little bit earlier. So interesting here that Eba is actually rushing straight into a lair as well. I'm curious. I know Lorimbo's one to do this opener. I remember, Papi, I remember. I believe that's where Eba got this, if I'm not mistaken. Now this would have a Twilight Council follow-up. Oh, no Forge additional gateways. Is this going to be Glaive Adepts? Uh-oh. I am a little bit concerned here because there's no Roach Warren or Baneling Nest. But there we go. Baneling Nest is thrown down. Plus on melee's on the way. Show me the Glaives. No, it's going to be Blink. Okay. Rostok, you have my attention. 2 Adepts going to be shading in towards that natural base. Lings are keeping up. Lings will be able to get us around and deal with this, but good positioning here out of Rostok. Going to get a couple of extra worker kills. 5 workers, 6 workers do go down. At the same time, we do have the Oracles diving in towards that third base, and Eba's being pulled apart. The Queens were out of position. 11 drones go down. Oh, a pretty insane amount of damage. And when it comes to the follow-up, Okay, it's just going to be a delayed forge. I was going to say that without a forge, we may just go for a 3-base all-in, but no. Rostok just delayed it, went for a later forge, later robo. He's taking his gases at his 3rd base, so he's just solidifying himself. He is taking up even further. He is not going all-in. Meanwhile, Eva, as he is going to... There's a couple of workers here to these oracles, but he is going straight for a Hydra Den. Okay, so Ling Hydra, or Ling Bane Hydra, is going to be the composition of choice for Eba. Again, this is a composition that has been buffed in a way where it's a little bit cheaper to get into Hydras, to get into these upgrades. A little bit faster as well. So Eba will have an easier time getting into his Hydra production. Lings are in position. They do confirm that a 4th base is to be taken. I wouldn't be opposed to Rostok just playing a very defensive style. That's exactly what's happening. We have a 2nd Robo and a Bay on the way, so it looks like Rostok is going to be going for double Colossus production. Basically, Rostok is going to be stuck at home defending. I mean, he's done a great job harassing, but for the most part, he's not going for any kind of major pushes. Was the shield battery is going to be going down? A cannon as well. Good hold position here in the middle line as probes are falling left and right. 2 probes at the same time. We do get some counter damage done. 5, 6 drones for 1 oracle. Finally, an oracle goes down, but 23 workers have fallen in total here for Eba. That is just far too much drone damage. Again, he's got a lot of recovering to do. He has to lick his wounds. Because he's stuck droning or re-droning so heavily, it tells me that Rostok is pretty safe here back at home. I say that, this 4th base is looking pretty exposed, and if Eba can get a cancel here, that'll be huge. Forget about the cancel. He's going for some probe kills, but alas, Stalkers, they get here in time. 2 probes, 3 probes go down. But Rostok will defend. Meanwhile, that last remaining Oracle is going to be threatening that natural base. Lurker Dens on the way. Hive as well, so Hydra Lurker Viper is going to be the composition here for Eba. Loses another 5 drones. Again, a lot of workers have been falling here for our Zerg player. And it's just slowing him down. It's just, yeah, slowing down how fast he can get into his army, his tech. So he's just stuck at redroning. Meanwhile, Rostok is looking pretty comfortable here on 4 bases. How many Colossus? We have 2 Colossus. We're about to have our 3rd and 4th Colossi as well. What I will say, though, is that thankfully Eba is, in a way, beating him in tech. He's getting into Lurkers already. Lurkers are in production as we speak. Colossus aren't amazing against them. Disruptors can do fairly well. Immortals, likewise. But Colossus, not ideal. So we'll see if Rostok tries to push out, if he gets caught out, or if he just backs off and starts transitioning. I believe Rostok still has not scattered the tech yet. He hasn't seen anything in the main until now. Oh, 1 hallucination goes down. The other is trying to make its way into the main base, but the Spore takes it out as well, and Rostok has no idea. I mean, he sees the Hydras, yes, but I don't believe he has seen the Lurkers. Not yet. As a result, again, this army is lacking a little bit for Rostok. It'll be good against Ling Hydra. It'll be decent again against Roach Ravager. But with the Lurkers getting in position, I don't see how Rostok can push in. And with that, he's taking up into a Templar Archives. That'll be for Archons, for a Templar. As he moves out, a big Ling counterattack is not going to get in, but is going to get eyes on the would-be 5th base, and Eba should be able to force a cancel. Yeah, he is in position, and he is keeping Rostok busy, keeping him at home. Meanwhile, Eba, as these Banelings may get caught out. Yeah, they are going to be cancelled. But in the meantime, Eba, he's just building up this Lurker count, working on those Lurker upgrades, or the Hive upgrades. Adrenals on the way, Adaptive Talons, Seismic Spines. The Vipers have arrived, and again, part of me feels like our Protoss player here just hasn't seen this. Isn't quite ready for it. Here we go. Lurkers have, of course, now been confirmed. And do we have a reaction out of Rostok at the same time? We do force a cancel here on this 5th base once again. And the Banelings are rolling in. The Banelings. Banelings, they attempt to roll in, but we do get a quick warp in. Meanwhile, across the map, we do get a yoink, and a Colossus goes down. Now here comes the Stargate. Skytoss is on the horizon here, but this is a late transition for Rostok. Again, Rostok, he cannot push into this. There are too many Lurkers, 12 Lurkers in total. and this transition is late. It's a Stargate. Where is the Fleet Beacon? Still no Fleet Beacon, still no Sky Toss. It may have slipped his mind. This may have needed to be a Fleet Beacon, or it may have been intended to be a Fleet Beacon. So I mean, we already have a Stargate. And again, Lurkers typically force Protoss to transition into a Sky Toss based composition. We have double Spire on the way to deal with that Sky Toss. As the Lurkers are pushing on forward here, and Rostok's being pulled apart. He's out of position, and we're going for a base trade. Here we go. Rostok, he turns back around. He doesn't commit, he turns around, but what's he gonna save? He's already lost 10 workers. He may lose his Nexus as well. The probes! No, they come back too soon! They come back too soon. 21 probes go down, and a lot of Stalkers. At the same time, Evo once again coming in, looking to deny this fifth. But the High Templar. Bailings, they're rolling into the mineral line. Rostok, he does pull back in time, but that's going to be another cancel on that fifth. 30 probes go down. Do we have detection? We do, and Eva's overextending a little bit. A lot of these Lurkers are going to go down. But he manages to yoink, and here comes some more Lurkers to reinforce. Yeah, there are just too many. And GG gets called. Eva will take game number 1. Oh, GG, well played. GG, as Eva does get away with those Lurkers, does get away with as well denying the scouting, and that's probably the most important part. We saw multiple times that game where Rostok, he was trying to send out hallucinations, he was trying to be active with his oracles, he was doing a lot of economic damage, yes, but he wasn't quite confirming what exactly Eva was up to. He wasn't confirming the Lurker tech, the Hive tech. As a result, when it came down to the big fight, Rostok just didn't really have much to deal with it. He didn't have an ideal army at all to push into Lurkers, to deal with Lurkers. GG. GG. With that, Eva will take game number 1. I admire your dedication to streaming. One day I'll participate and bring all the spicy builds, I promise. I'm ready for it. I'm ready for it. Papi, I was talking to Eba beforehand. Leading into this tournament, he's always smudging. He's like, Lights, you're an animal. You're making me play on NA. You know, you're making me wake up early. I'm like, what are you talking? It's like midday. It's like 1 p.m. in the UK. He's like, it's early. And Ebo was smurging, Papi. He was smurging by playing against Protoss. I specifically said, Eva, what would Lorimbo do? What would Lorimbo? He's like, mate, he would leave. Because Eba, he's up against Protoss. He's up against, of course, Rostok here, and in the next round, if Eba makes it through, it's gonna be nice as well. So Eba was smurging, and I was trying to hype him up, and he was having none of it, Papi. He was having none of it. But GG, you know, a solid performance so far here by Eba. Solid game 1. We'll see if he can keep it up. We'll see if Rostok can bring it back. See if he can bring it back. As I attempt to set up. As I attempt to set up just a logos mod and make sure everything is going well. Eva, he always fanatas it when he plays it. True, true. You're not wrong. Because of the gaseous opener, like, oh, is that why Eva does it? True, Bobby. He goes to the gaseous opener just so he can have more workers, so he can lose them. Ah, I see. But you're not wrong. You're not wrong. Did have additional workers. Not gonna lie, I'm very tempted to do it myself. Very tempted. As game number 2 is gonna be on Site Delta. Eva just messed his. God damn it. Eva's smurging. You won, Papi. You won. Eva. So we're getting into game 2. And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner of Side Delta, we have the English Zerg player representing the Platinum Heroes, leading the series 1-0. It is Iba. And spawning in the top left-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the Ukrainian Protoss, the blue Protoss, representing himself as he is currently teamless. It is Rostok. It's 9 a.m. in the UK. No shot. No shot, Papi. It is. It is. Mate, you can wake up at 9 a.m. Is it really asking too much to ask someone to wake up at 9 a.m.? Come on. Come on. Ay. Don't be a D-gen. Don't be a D-gen. As we are getting into this. And once again, we do have... I say once again, this time it's going to be a more stand-up, a more straight-up hatch first here from Iba. Not going for a 15-15. It is going to be a straight-up hatch gas pool instead. Okay. Oh, as he does throw down that spray. Yeah, we are going to be loading into Side Delta. Again, I appreciate that we're able to experience some of these newer maps. Some of them still haven't seen too much of. But overall, has been an enjoyable experience. Likewise, Rostok across the map going for a gate expand into a cybercore. So really, a little bit of a greedier opener here from Rostok. Could be a slightly more economic. As this time he scats across the map, he confirms the gas being taken. He confirms the spawning pool timing as well. Before he gets the hell out of there. We get into our second game, and I wonder how Rostok is going to be adjusting here. Again, I should praise Rostok, right? It's like he did a great job getting economic damage. He killed 23 workers, and he only lost a handful of adepts and an oracle, right? It's like he was doing a great amount of economic damage. We'll see if he can replicate that. Likewise, the biggest criticism for Rostok, I feel, was the fact that he was just struggling to scout and get a read on what exactly Iba was up to and kind of what direction he was teching in, whether he was going... I mean, it didn't even have to be lurkers, but whether he was going for like a spire for mutas or rushing into a hive and going into a faster greater spire. There was just a lot that Iba could have been doing, and Rostok was in the dark for a lot of that. So yeah, we'll see if he can look to improve on that, as I'm getting ahead of myself. Because it is not going to be a Stargate opener. Rostok instead is going for a Twilight Council. Twilight Council is upon us. Is going to be here for Rostok, and looking at the vision of Iba, he was unable to scout. He's in the dark. I'm sure he did recognize that, of course, Warp Gate was not delayed and it was prioritized, and that is a tell that it's going to be a Twilight Council opener. Additional gateways are on the way. 4 gateways already, and we have pulled out. This should be for Glaive Adepts. There it is. Glaive Adepts is on the way. Again, we did pull out of gas. Something that's interesting to me is we did prioritize these 2 gateways, so I wonder if we're going to commit a little bit harder. There's no Robo either, which is interesting to me. Which means no War Prism is going to be moving out for Rostok as he takes a third. Okay. So an interesting variation of the Glaive Adept. So basically, Rostok, he decided to skip the Robo, skip the Warp Prism, and go for a faster third base. Again, 4-gate Glaive Adepts isn't all in by any means. It is an aggressive opener, yes, but you don't have to end the game with this. You do have to get damage done, though, and at least keep the Zerg player busy and at bay at home while you do kind of transition back across the map. As the adept count is getting a little bit higher. But again, this is a little bit unique. I don't see this too often. I say too often because I'm pretty sure we've seen it once before in the last couple of days. But yeah, an interesting opener here from Rostok as he's just building up his adept count, and he's going to be walking across the map. Meanwhile, back at home, Iba, he already has his Roach Warren. Again, a well-timed safety Roach Warren. He did recognize that, of course, it was a Twilight Council opener of some kind. Does have... Actually... end up skipping his spores, so a little bit risky here to skip his spores, but regardless, he has correctly identified that it is going to be Glaive Adepts. He does fully wall off here at the ramp. Adepts will not get in, but they make their way towards a third base instead. Oh. Lings are going down to the drones. The drones are looking exposed as well, as there is no target firing, so the drones, they will escape. Instead, we're going for the queens, and one queen will go down. Behind this, Dark Shrine on the way for Rostok. He has identified that we are missing spores, and we could try to take advantage of that. As ZvP, they push on forward even further, trying to take down that high energy queen. They do finally get into the mineral line. A spore is on the way at the third, as the adepts do shade back. What's important is that the adept count is still quite high. You know, we still have a decent amount of adepts. We have even more adepts back at home as well, so we are not quite vulnerable to a counterattack. Eba doesn't have a lair, so we can't really commit to a counterattack either. There we go, the adepts do move out. Once again, going to be keeping Eba busy. Really quick walls here from Eba. Oh, he's going to try to break through. He does force a cancel. Quick cancel there from our Zerg player. As the Eps do push on forward, breaking into the mineral line. They do get eyes on the spore crawlers. And one spore in each base. Oh, as they do take down a queen in the main, but there is no shade. Shade was a little bit delayed. As a result, a lot of adepts are going to be going down. And this is not worth it for Rostok. Looking at the units lost tab, it is 14 adepts for 5 drones. Ay, ay, ay. DTs are waddling across the map. We do have detection in position, but if we don't have an army, then these DTs, they can focus down a spore, and there is no lair, there is no mobile detection. The adepts, they shade into the natural, they're getting worker kills, and the DTs, they get into the third, they take down the spore. Third base is going to be forfeit. The hatchery will go down. And there's nothing that Eba can do about it. We now have a lair in production, but again, he's going to be knocked down to 2 hatcheries. Oof. Spores repositioning, and we will be able to surround it. We will keep it alive. DTs are forced to recall back home, and Rostok is far ahead in the economy. We're up to 75 workers, 3 base economy. We finally have the robo. We have +1 attack on the way. Colossus production commencing here for the Protoss. 4th base on the way. Everything is coming up, Rostok. And Eba, what do we do from this position here? Part of me feels like, I mean, we could go for an all-in. We could just cut workers, go for roach speed, and just send it across the map and try to maybe catch Rostok being too greedy. But Eba, he is taking a 4th base. He's double expanding to catch up, and it looks like he plans on droning. It's going to be a rough road to recovery here for Eba. But he's going for it. As we can see, 4 more drones on the way, +1 melee, roach speed. Oof. And alas, I'm feeling a little bit concerned here. For the time being, you can see that the supplies are relatively similar, but over the next minute or so, you're going to see Rostok skyrocket ahead, take full advantage of his economy. And he's making 2 Colossi at a time. Oh my god, we've even got cannons and shield batteries on the way, just in case. Rostok, he knows how far ahead he is. He knows that he can afford to spend resources on stack defense, just to secure himself, just to make sure he doesn't fall behind. As Rostok is working towards a Templar Archives, Blink +2, Storm, Archons, anything you could want as a Protoss. Now, for Eba, how do we come back in this game? I do feel like we have to hyperfixate on run-bys, on counterattacks, somehow disrupting the economy here of Rostok, whether it's bailing run-bys or link counterattacks or even some drop play. Alas, for the time being, Eba is just taking up. I guess this is another way that we could do this. We have a Hydrogen on the way and a Hive on the way. So with this, we can get into really fast lair tech. Sorry, really fast lurker tech. Lunker tech is what I meant to say. There it is. Lunkers are on the way. So if Rostok rests on his laurels, if he stays back at home long enough, then Eba, if he gets like maybe 6 lurkers, he can try to pull off a defense. He can survive, and he can slow the game down. These things, they're going to be distracting Rostok as Rostok attempts to take a 5th base. I'm concerned though because there's no reason to stay at home. Rostok, he's up to 3 Colossi, he's got High Templar as well. Rostok, he can be active, he can move out. Yeah, and he's going for another Warping of High Templar and Stalkers. Eba back at home, he has to try to defend here with a bare minimum. So here it is, that Lurker Den is on the way. And if he can squeeze out, yeah. There we go. We have 5 Hydras in production. If we can manage to get a handful of lurkers, we can hold. It's possible. Is possible, Papi. Meanwhile, once again, Rostok, he's not transitioning into Skytoss. He's committed to a ground toss army. Here we go. He's going to be pushing on forward. Eba, he needs to buy time. Oof, oh god. Some big storms on the army, though. Once again, another big storm on those roaches. Hydras are on the way, but no, we don't want to bleed them out. The Hydra goes down for free. More roaches are falling, and Rostok is breaking on through. We'll be losing inside Templar. They are forced to morph into Archons. But the Roach Ravager crumbles. We have Hydras trying to come in from behind. There are some lurkers in production, but I think it's only 2 lurkers. At the same time, a Zealot Rambai comes in, and it looks like it's just too much. GG gets called, and Rostok will take game number 2, tying up the series 1-1. GG. In a really interesting fashion. I say interesting fashion. It was a really interesting build from Rostok to go for Glaive Adept, skip the Robo, go for a faster third base, and follow it up with DTs. I do want to commend Eba for his initial Glaive Adept defense. I do think it was really good. He barely lost any workers. He lost, well, remember it was I think 5 drones to 14 Adepts, if I recall correctly. So it was a good defense initially by Eba. But of course, those DTs kind of caught him off guard. They came out of left field, and they killed the third base, crippling the economy of Eba. And it wasn't just that. If you remember, at the same time, the Adepts were actually getting economic damage as well. Finally, drones were falling, and things were looking better for Rostok. And now, we have an ace match. We're going all the way to game number 3. Let's go. Here we go. As we are getting ready here for our next lobby. Seeing the chat catching up. I would have died 3 times already. That's what I mean. Like, initially, like, Eba's defenses were actually really good. Like, I was really impressed with how he was handling those Adepts. It was just over time, right? Eventually, like, that was something worth it for Rostok. He found the damage that he was looking for. And yeah, we are getting ready for game 3. Just trying to get into the lobby, Bob. You're trying to get in. Huh. Oh, and our next map is going to be on Solaris. Let's go. And with that, we're getting into our 3rd game. Into the ace match. It all ends here. It all ends on Solaris. One way or another, either Eba or Rostok will make it through. And oh, no bias, Papi. No bias. We'll see it through to the end. As spawning in the top right-hand corner. Top right-hand corner of Solaris, we have... Oh, my God. We have our English Zerg player representing the Platinum Heroes. It is Eba. Going for a 13-12. And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the Ukrainian Protoss player, currently teamless. It is Rostok. Oh boy, Eba, he's had enough. He's doing his best Lorimbo impression. I'm ready for it. Oh god. So with this fast gas, with this fast swimming pool as well, we're going to be rushing into Link Speed. We can do a couple of different things with this. We can go for a Bane Bust, of course. We can rush into faster Roaches. Curious as to what kind of variation Eba is going to be going for, and whether or not Rostok is able to get a read on what is happening, because he is going for a probe scout across the map, and he will be, of course, scouting the lack of expansion. He goes straight into the main base, and he will see the fast gas being taken here from Eba. He does go in, he confirms the opener, confirms everything. Link speed is on the way. We are pulling out of gas, okay. I was curious if we would or if we wouldn't, but we do pull out of gas. We are going to be committing here to 6, even 8 links across the map. Back at home, Rostok, he's going to be delaying his expansion. He goes for a second gateway and a cyber core. He's setting up a full wall with the zealots, and of course chronoing out the first zealot as well. So far a good reaction here out of Rostok, respecting it quite a bit. Again, he's not certain as to the follow-up here. He's not certain as to how committed Eba is going to be, but I'm sure Rostok will soon be throwing down that expansion. As the Lings are a little bit distracted chasing down that probe, the Zealot does arrive. We do have some good surface area on this gateway at least, and maybe even the Cyber Core. So we can, of course, force some micro here out of Rostok, force that Zealot to dance with the units. But Rostok has to be very careful not to get surrounded, very careful not to be pulled out of position, as the shield battery is on the way. Behind this, Eba is expanding, and he is droning. He is going to be droning behind this, as the Lings are going to be poking here at the wall, but the Adepts have arrived, and yeah, Rostok is looking pretty solid here. Obviously his expansion was delayed, obviously he was forced to react and even throw down an additional shield battery as well. But Rostok, he is content here to hold on. Interestingly enough, he hasn't moved out quite yet with his Adepts. He's going to be staying at home, securing his position here on 2 bases. And as he secures his position, a shout out to Maranth in the chats. My Amaranth, is that what I'm reading? Thank you so much for subscribing with Twitch Prime for 2 months. Thank you, we appreciate it. Gracias, papi, gracias. Do appreciate the support on Twitch. As again, all the money that we make here on Twitch goes towards our tournaments, goes towards the events that we host and the events that we cast. So we do appreciate it. As once again, Rostok is going for a Twilight Council opener. This time Eba is going in with the Overlord Scout. We'll be confirming the Twilight Council. We'll be getting eyes on the opener, as Eba's just droning up as heavily as he can, getting a 3rd base behind this. Not quite pulling back into gas. As Eba does confirm the additional gateways, this is looking like once again a 4-gate Glaives opener. There we go, Glaives is on the way. Once again, there is no Robo, so it looks like Rostok is going to be taking a 3rd base. He is going to be looking to expand, but he hasn't pulled out of gas actually. Interesting. Upon not pulling out of gas, that does mean that he can take up a little bit faster. He can go for a faster Robo behind this, or into a Dark Shrine again. It is possible. As Eba is attempting to resaturate his bases, we have a safety Roach Warren on the way, 2nd Gas Geyser as well. Of course, Eba did confirm the opener. He sees the gateways and the Twilight Council, so he's fully aware of Glaives. He's preparing back at home. And I'm sure he's more mentally prepared to deal with a potentially a follow-up DT push from Rostok. The probe, it does go down. Additional Lings are on the way, of course. As the Adepts move out, Eba could potentially threaten a counterattack at this 3rd base and try to cripple the economy of Rostok as he builds up towards Roaches. Behind this, Eba is going into a faster lair as well. Again, he may be a little bit paranoid as to the follow-up, and he may just want secure detection available. As we can see, additional gases are being taken. The Adepts are moving out across the map, and they are going to be spotted by Eba. Up! Oh, and the Adepts, they get surrounded! Good catch here from Eba. Forces a recall as well. 1, 2, 3 Adepts go down, even a 4th as well. And this push from Rostok is not going to work. He has to pull back, and he's going for a Stargate? Oh my god. Now we see what all the gases were for. I was curious if he was going to go like double Robo. Or even a Dark Shrine again, but no, it's going to be double Stargate Void Ray out of Rostok. He knows how to Protoss, papi. He knows. But before we can get into that, Eba is going for his own push. We have Roaches, Ravagers are coming in. We do have the Overseer for detection just in case. And Eba is all in himself. 36 drones is all he needs. And these Stargates, they're going to take a little bit too long to really come into play. The Adepts commit to the shade, but at the same time, Eba does not turn around. He's committing himself. As the Adepts do bust into the main, but the Lings keep up. The Roaches, the Queens as well. Eba pushing on forward, busting into the natural. Void Rays are in production, but again, they need time. They need time that Rostok just does not have. As the wall has been broken, Eba, he's busting into the natural. Roaches on the way. The Adepts have been dealt with. But Eba's on the timer. He's got to go, Papi. In a couple of seconds, those Void Rays will appear. But there's just so much Roach Ravager. Cybercore is going to be focused on. The Void Ray does reveal itself for the first time. But alas, how many probes are going to go down before the Void Rays can deal with these Roach Ravagers? Let's see, we go. Lings are coming in to reinforce. Probes are falling. Reinforcements actually heading towards the third base as well, looking for just secure damage, making sure that Rostok is not able to come back. We have Ravagers here in the main base. We have Roaches in the natural and Lings at the third. Back at home, Eba trying to make as many queens as he can. That Void Ray count is getting high. Look, I have seen a Protoss player get knocked down to like 5 probes and win with Void Rays. It has happened before, but I don't know if it can happen again. As the Lings are cleaning up whatever is left here at the natural. The Ravagers as well, doing whatever they can just to kite against these Zealots. Rostok down to 12 workers. But we have 4 Void Rays. And how much anti-air do we have? We have 5 Queens back at home. Oh, all with energy for Transfuse. Do we have any Spores? No Spore Crawlers, so we don't have an anchor point for the army. 5 Queens. That should be enough, especially with Transfuse on creep. And with 3 more Queens on the way, Eba should be okay, as the Void Rays are going to be hitting this third base. Queens are going to be rotating on over. Yeah, GG gets called. Eba will take game number 3 and the series 2-1. GG. GG, well played. Eba will be taking the series 2-1, advancing on to the next round off of a 36 drone all-in. I was a little bit concerned. I was a little bit concerned after the initial 13-12 opener that it felt a little bit lackluster. It felt like it didn't really accomplish what it wanted to. I mean, it did force a reaction, but from there, of course, Eba was able to scout, was able to shut down the Adepts and get into his own all-in. And you could argue that Rostok was a little bit too greedy by heading towards double Stargate production, right? Like it was tech that just took a little bit too long to really get going. Didn't really impact the defense, didn't come out in time for the defense, and Eba was able to cripple the economy and cripple Rostok before he could get into his Void Rays. GG. GG, well played. With that, congratulations to Eba as he does advance on in the tournament. He will be advancing on into the next round to face off against a very different kind of Protoss player, to face off against Nice. Here we go. So we do have a couple of updates coming in. !B in the chat if you guys want to have a look at the back of yourselves.